13 seconds.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, for some reason it looks like we can only see half your head.
Oh, that's probably because I'm really close to the computer right now. Okay.
There we go. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I wanted to do a cooler intro situation.
Oh.
But
well,
that's all I could think of. So that's what happened.
Yeah, it's Monday.
I'm having trouble getting going.
Yes. Thank you, Alyssa. Bill, good morning. Good lunchtime to you all. Or evening.
Happy Monday. Good morning.
Evening. Very good, Phil.
Always there to remind us.
Did anybody do anything exciting this weekend? Yes, thank you. Someone noticed. Well, obviously this is the latest iteration of my haircut. Yeah, I can share that my hair clip has arrived, and so I started cutting my hair, and things started off pretty well, and I was really quite pleased with my progress. And then I accidentally put on the wrong length clipper, and because I was just trying to finish it off, and then I just buzzed the whole of the top of my head. So so this isn't quite how I intended it to be, but as Sarah said, it will grow back, and it will.
And you can, on video calls, you can just go like this, so nobody can see the top.
Yeah. So yeah, that was one story I had to tell, but I'm sure you all realized I cut my hair too short. In another story, seeing as I've got interesting things to tell everybody, we got chickens. I wonder if I can randomly show my.
Oh, we have a birthday! Happy birthday, Tamara! Tomorrow, Tamara.
Carb loaded. What was your carb loading?
Cake. Pizza. Yeah, cake. Cinnamon buns and cake. Nice.
Good, cool.
I wish I had the excuse that, oh, it's my birthday. That's why I ate so many carbs yesterday. It wasn't my birthday. Are you showing us your chickens, Ben, before we get started?
I was just going to try and work out how I do that. Share screen. Ready, everybody? These are my fresh chickens.
Fresh chicks.
This one here is called Strawberry.
Aww.
The black one is called Cheeky Ben, and this one, the blonde one, is called Violet.
Man, that's they Violet. Are cute.
They're all actually girls though.
Ben can be a girl's name. That's fun.
There's me, looking casual.
Did you get the trampoline?
We got the trampoline as well.
Oh
yeah,
my God,
a lot happened.
Big weekend.
A lot happened this weekend.
Yeah. Hopefully the chickens haven't been on the trampoline.
Yeah, of course they have.
Okay, yeah.
Kate,
just like boom.
Yeah, my kids are convinced they can teach the chickens to fly. So
my sister thought that growing up. Didn't work. So thank you for the chicken story, Ben. That was very nice. We all enjoyed your chickens.
I enjoyed the cake story as well. Anybody else got anything fun to share?
Try and top that.
Yeah.
Bed haircut, bought a trampoline, and got baby chickens.
just wanted something interesting to talk about this morning.
Yeah, well, cool. If your memory jogs at any point, you want to tell people what you did this weekend, by all means, drop it in the chat. Let's roll. We did it, peeps. So that was week 1. We're on week 2. covered the basics. We got some tools, got used to putting stuff on a plan and figuring out how to narrow down topics. And then we did some keyword mining. Now we're focusing on developing a piece of content. I want to say that we wrote a first draft. I'm not sure that everybody wrote a first draft, so we'll check on that in a minute. Throughout the week, we're basically going to be moving that draft through production. So, making sure that it's really set up to be engaging and perform well in search. And I don't know about you folks, but this week I think it's going to be a little bit easier in many ways. I think a lot of the emotional and mental work really goes into the first bit when you're trying to just like draw something out of nothing, which is why, working with ambiguity is like a big part of content development. So rest assured, I do think it's going to be a little bit less uphill this week than last week, which may come as relief. It's more logistical. And then remember, we've got that bonus session today. It might be a little bit late for you, Phil, but we've got that. It's going to be good. At 4 p.m. It's going to be awesome. Even if you're not interested in podcasting, I just recommend it. Stephen's great.
And Sarah, do you want to share your screen again? Because I obviously took it over.
What?
Well, and then it didn't default back to you.
This is it. Do you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah, a few hours.
I'm gonna drop in that link to that session as well while you're doing that.
Oh yeah. Sounds great. Share it around with your friends. They're all welcome.
Because today's session is going to be good, and you can invite your friends.
Are you all getting broken video? I just had to type that in. Yeah, okay. Maybe it was just a glitch. Hopefully it's not still happening.
It seems to be back now.
Yay! Okay, lovely. Thank you for the reminder to actually share my screen. Excellent. Before we roll, just check-in time. So I had a peek at some of the briefs that went up on Mighty Networks. It's looking good. It's looking like some of you made some briefs. I'm wondering if anybody has written a first draft. So maybe in the chat, if you could write like brief or draft so that we know where everybody's at. Because we're going to go over a couple of briefs and or drafts today. Alyssa's got 3/4 of a draft. That's pretty good. Is it in a Word document? I wonder if Alyssa could share that with us. Brief in the first sentence. Nice. Half a draft, a brief. Okay, cool. We're kind of like hovering in this like, it's coming together, but we don't really have anything shippable yet, it's sounding like. Okie dokie.
Yeah, and I think it's worth saying that this is the actually writing stuff. Yeah, it's taking a bit longer than planned. I'm not surprised. I think it always takes longer to write than you think it should.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I think almost we expect it not to take a long time, but I think maybe we need to manage expectations. This is really hard work. And I think that the hardest bit is getting that first draft out, and then iterating on it is easier. So if you're finding it hard, don't be surprised. That's totally normal. It'll get better. Yeah.
I've got I think also on that, we're going to get to this right now, but it's, it takes a lot of time to write something if you're grasping at straws the whole way. I worked as a writer for like years before I was in more of this content like editing role. And yeah, when you're grasping at straws the entire way, every sentence is emotional labor because you don't know where it's going. You don't know where it came from. And you're trying to like piece it together as you go. And so I think that's why the brief, like locking in that brief and locking in those ideas is so important in the beginning. And Ben and I were just talking about this just this morning, and he mentioned, the secret sauce. Like, what is the secret that makes our content rank, and that we can run a business based off of having content that people enjoy and that people can find easily. And came down to writing about the right thing. I mean, writing, but making a video, making whatever. It's all about writing about the right thing. And that sounds so, I don't know, blue sky in terms of, okay, fine, sure. Like, what's the right thing? And I think that right now, what we can do to help with this is go into a couple of the briefs that you folks are working on and help with like refining those topics and really drilling into why we're writing about it and how we can tweak it so that you're more likely to get the desired result out of that piece of content. Does that make sense? I think, Ben, do you have any drafts up on your computer right now?
Yeah, I'm just seeing who we've got here.
Because we're close. I think we're close. But I think that for some of the briefs we can get more niche.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see.
Okay,
I want to start with gin isolation cocktails.
Cool.
I don't know who wrote this. Like,
that's Chanel.
I know this.
I think
Chanel.
Yeah.
Okay, Chanel. Okay, cool.
Are you able to share your screen?
Yeah. At least I think I am. Okay, so I'm going to do I'm actually going to pull up here a different tool just simply because I'm not logged into Moz. So, but this is just, Ahrefs is just another tool we use. But yeah, let's go through this brief. Hopefully you guys will find this helpful to help you kind of think through this. So obviously the title is Gin Isolation Cocktails. And the idea with the focus keyword is that it is one keyword. So the focus has to be one. We can have more than one supporting keyword, but the focus keyword just has to be one keyword. So remember our when we're talking about doing that keyword research before, I'm just going to pop these in here because these are obviously the keywords that Chanel thought were good. So it looks like that she thought the best keyword here was best cocktails, I'm guessing. But it looks like, just as we compare these, and it'll look different to this in Moz, but you'll get the same idea. Actually, best gin cocktails. I mean, you've got this down here, but this is clearly, yeah, it didn't look like this for you because you're in Moz. But the data should look similar. But I would say, yeah, rather than best cocktails being the keyword to go for, you can see here that's a lot harder to rank for. It's KD 39, so there's a lot more volume. But I think your idea of best gin cocktails is probably a better keyword to be trying to rank for. So then what we do is for best gin cocktails, we get all of these keywords that we can try ranking for. So what I would do, I think this is a pretty good keyword actually. Like there's high volume, there's lots of clicks. It's not that hard to rank for. So then we look at all the keywords for it, and just see if there's any other inspiration. What I'm just going to do, I'm going to say, okay, we'll move this up here. It's our best gin cocktails. That is what our post is going to be about. And then I'd actually think about, okay, well, if that's my keyword, I really want my keyword in the title. So like maybe I'd like change this to best gin cocktails, like for COVID isolation or something like that.
Or it could even be when you're stuck at home.
Yeah.
You know, because it's unlikely that people are typing it, like the user intent, it's very unlikely that people are going like gin cocktail for isolation.
Yeah.
You know, it's likely that people are stuck at home. So when they're Googling gin cocktail, they'll see that and be like, oh, I'm stuck at home. You know?
Yeah. Cool. So I hope this makes sense. Our focus keyword needs to be one keyword, and it needs to be the keyword that we're trying to rank for, because we could be writing a different post for like best cocktails could be a completely different post.
Yeah.
Gin could be a different post. Isolation, fresh ingredients, these could all be different posts, to be honest. What I would look for is these other keywords, so best gin cocktails. Obviously, best cocktails with gin is very similar, so that would be a good supporting keyword to add in. Like this again would be good, like best summer gin cocktails.
As Ben is adding, it's generally your supporting keywords are similar words, like kind of synonyms, or they're like subtopics of that thing, of your focus keyword. That's generally like the two main categories of things that are relevant, because you've got to think, I was chatting the other day about this, is you've got one headline, unless you use fancy tools to dynamically generate headlines. So you've got one headline, and that's the only thing that people are ever going to see, no matter what keywords are in your post, no matter if you can rank for vodka cocktails and types of gin and all this stuff. People are always going to see that headline. And so the headline has to correspond with what's in the article.
Yeah. And so what I'm looking for here when I'm thinking about supporting keywords to include, really I'm just looking for anything with any volume, because they'll be a good content to include. And even if there is no volume, if I think, oh yeah, that makes sense, like best
gin cocktails.
Yeah, that would be another good one. So even if it just appears as even if it says it's got no volume, if it makes sense that would be a good thing to write about, then include it. What was that one? Best gin.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what it was. To mix with cocktails.
Cocktails, yeah. It's kind of like if you can draw a line back to that best gin cocktails topic, then it's a good thing to include, because if it semantically fits under that idea tree.
Yeah. Did I put that one? So yeah, and I haven't really been doing this, but what I should have done is I should have made sure that. So yeah, if our main keyword is best gin cocktails, that's what we're really trying to rank for. But then we've got best gin for cocktails. Should be our second highest keyword. And then we kind of want to rank them in order. Best cocktails with gin, so that it mirrors the volume. So the supporting keywords, and we can use them. Normally, these make great H2s, or kind of sections within our post. So that helps us to get our keyword list. I hope that's useful. So another thing that like FAQs from Google SERP, So again, if we do this and we just stick it into Google, we can see like related searches, which are sometimes useful. Mm-hmm. So we haven't got any FAQs there, but what we can do is just stick these in for some more inspiration. That can sometimes be helpful. We could go back to the gin cocktails and see if there's any FAQ here. So like here's our FAQ. And normally what you'll see that once we start opening these up, I'm sure you're familiar with this, like it start giving us other ideas. Mm-hmm. So if we go back to gin cocktails, what's the best gin for cocktails? Like it could be worth thinking about. Google thinks these are somehow relevant. So I'd explore these a bit. So it looks like, yeah, maybe if we're talking about best gin for cocktails, maybe like this idea of like top shelf is a good one to include into the post. Or like what can you mix with different gins? And then, so yeah, so what's the best mixing gin? We'd probably definitely include that FAQ, yeah, here.
And I know the tool is different, but forgive us, like we're like monkeys on using Moz. We're so used to Ahrefs. Can't do it.
Yeah, so I haven't even got a login. I haven't got an account, so I can't do it. But this is the tool that we use.
Touch Moz.
Is this making sense and helpful?
Okay, makes sense.
Feedback, please.
Yeah. Chanel says, makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth thinking about when we're thinking about the focus keyword. A lot of you, when I looked at your focus keyword, it was more than one. So we want it to be one thing that we're writing about. And the other thing is that a lot of you went for like gin cocktails, for example, a short tail keyword. So a short tail keyword is short. It's actually, this is gin cocktails overall is actually not much harder to rank for. So I would actually say, because of having looked at that, I would put gin cocktails as my focus keyword, because it's not that much harder to rank for. There's a whole lot more volume. And see, this is why what we're doing is a massive like exploration, because you think you're writing about one thing and then you start diving into it and then you realize, oh, hold on a second. I need to pivot this because I can make this way more relevant if I refocus this slightly. So then now if I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm writing about gin cocktails, actually, maybe this makes more sense, that we're just writing, this is like a cornerstone post, and we use this to link off to lots of different posts. So if we're talking about our post is about gin cocktails, then we could start writing about classic gin cocktails, best gin cocktails, easy gin cocktails. And you just need to keep on exploring till you find, and this is why we talked about like mining. You need to kind of explore the area and see what makes most sense. But often you'll think, oh, well, I'll go for best gin cocktails. Like, sure, we probably could have a separate post for that. But actually, when we compare the keyword difficulty, gin cocktails isn't that much harder to rank for than best gin cocktails. So we might as well just write about I would say write about gin cocktails to start with. hope that's helpful in terms of like diving into the keywords and how we do that exploration process. But I think writing about the right thing, getting the keyword right, getting the supporting keywords is really, really important.
Yeah, it's part of, you remember the 3 circles we had about writing about what serves our audience, and then what serves our goal, and then what serves search engines. Right now, we have to get away from what serves our goal kind of thinking, in the sense that I see a lot of times where you say, I'm going to write about like cocktails for COVID-19 isolation. So the keywords that I naturally should include are, pandemic and isolation and COVID-19. But that's just because that's kind of dictating it from the top down of what you think you want to write about. And the keyword mining process is really about understanding what are people searching for. Like, it's highly unlikely that someone is going like COVID-19 gin cocktail recipe. So you're using keyword research and just allowing yourself to be informed by what's out there, as opposed to dictating from the top down. And the reason we would like to leave that open is because you discover stuff that you're like, whoa, for some reason, people want to know, like, how is gin made or something. Like, tons of people want to know. And it gives you these different ideas for sections to include that you might not have thought of before.
Yeah.
Yeah, the process makes sense. The challenge, as Eric says, is finding something that would work. It's writing about finding the right thing, right? That's the hard part.
Yeah. And that's the thing that is going to take time. And I think just don't be like, obviously I've just done this in 5 minutes or 10, how long we've been, but this is the fun bit. It's kind of going on this mission to try and find the best things to write about, and having an open mind. Because I think the danger can be when you come from a top-down perspective and you're like, I want to write about this thing, and then you realize that no one's really searching for it. Well, it's really worth taking a bit of time to dig around to find out how you can find something that people are searching for, and then you'll like get some eyeballs on it. If no one's searching for it, or just like we did there, we decided to switch from best gin cocktails to gin cocktails because it wasn't that much harder to write about and would provide a great cornerstone article for us. Then make that switch, and then we move that best gin cocktails post down to lower down in our priority list. So hopefully that was helpful.
Yeah. Should we do another one?
Oh, sure. Let me see what else I've got. Meditation or bathrooms.
Meditation or bathrooms, everybody. The age-old question. Meditation. Phil has voted. Oh, okay. Chanel, we're doing meditation.
Okay, I will meditate. Here we go. Okay, cool. So here, let's think about this.
This one is Leela.
Why won't you behave? Okay, so here we got the same challenge of meditation. We got more than one focus keyword, which isn't going to work. And we've almost got the opposite problem here. We've gone way too high level. So if we look at meditation as a keyword, the keyword difficulty is way too high. It's 88. The volume is massive, but we have to think about the user intent. Why? Like, the goal is sign up, so get into the course. But would someone who's just looking for meditation, we don't really know what they're looking for. So I think the first thing is probably, it seems like the idea for this post was, why meditation could save your life. It's a high level post on meditation. So what I would do, I've just looked for meditation, and now I'm going to try and find something related to meditation that is going to be a good topic area. Because I think if I tried ranking for meditation, it's just going to be super, super hard to do.
Yeah. And it's hard to know what people would be like. If I type meditation into Google, it's like, what am I looking for?
Yeah. So obviously, I think like the idea of why meditation could save your life, the idea is around like benefits, but even that benefits of meditation is tricky to rank for. This like see instantly I'm drawn to the thing that is easy to rank for. Meditation benefits Reddit. Obviously, I can't rank for that, but like even these like spiritual benefits of meditation could be good. Like it's 150 volume is reasonably easy to rank for.
Yeah, that's a nice topic too, because the keyword already tells you a lot more about what you could write about. It's like, okay, I know I'm going to stick to like spiritual benefits, and it kind of gives you more of this channel for your stuff. I think Chanel's asking if this is in Moz as well. Yeah. It's probably navigate to it in a different way, but all keyword research tools will have this thing where you write a main keyword and then you explore related keywords.
Okay, so here I think this could be good. So why meditate is a similar I just want to check. Okay, so we've got like why meditation is volume 240 and difficulty 28. And here why meditate, we've got 1.6 thousand and difficulty 12. So can anyone guess what I'd write about?
What's that one?
Why meditate?
Oh, that's a good one.
So like you see here, I've just tweaked it really slightly in terms of the title, but instantly what I'm able to do is try and rank for why meditate rather than the more competitive why meditation.
Yeah. And I think that you've got a good hook about, you said meditation can save your life or something. I think that's an interesting hook because Google actually has this special algorithm rule that it ranks your money or your life, so YM, YL keywords higher, so, or titles higher. So you could still keep that kind of life or death stance on it, like why meditate, save your life or whatever, because Google does prioritize like high stakes titles. As
yeah, so then I'm looking at like, so if the focus keyword is why meditate, which I think is a good one. Then we look at these. We've got a whole bunch of questions. We've got a whole bunch of, I just want to look at this as well. Oh no, that's super hard. Okay, so again, I'm pulling in my supporting keywords from this list of things, other things that I know people are searching for with reasonable volumes. And at this point, I'm not worrying too much about difficulty, but I'm just trying to think about the supporting keywords that I need to include. Why do people meditate? Why you should meditate. Those ones are all about the same. Why can't I meditate? Nice. Why do I cry? So these other things, I mean, stress management techniques maybe could play into it, but
that could almost be a whole different post.
Yeah.
If I did mention stress management techniques, I'd probably just be like, meditation is one of the stress management techniques that people are doing. Whatever. I just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't write a whole section on it.
Cool. Does that help, guys? I hope that this makes the focus keyword supporting keywords thing a bit more clear.
Yeah.
It's so important to do the research and not be afraid of letting go of what was in your content plan. Like the content plan is helpful for us to think about the topic and from a big picture, top down, like what do we want to write about? What's important? But then we just need to be open to pivoting the actual, when it comes to the detail of what we're writing, because it offers us a whole, and then that's why we talked about mining. Like that's where we find the nuggets. It's when we actually align that with what people are searching for. And there's just no point writing about stuff if people aren't searching for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've said in the last time, I think, when we were trying to lock down titles, that title gives you a good, direction to start. It gives you a good direction to start, but I will rewrite a title like 5 to 7 times before publishing. It's really like a work in progress. Cool.
Yeah. And Kelly's saying, are you suggesting we would use those full phrases? Yes. So that when we talk about long tail keywords, these are long tail keywords. Why do people meditate? Like that is the keyword. I know it's more than a word. It's a phrase. That's called a long tail keyword. That's more than a word. And that is where the opportunity area lies in ranking for these longer tail keywords often.
Mm-hmm. The big picture is that, Google sees 5,000 articles on, meditation, and then Google looks at yours as it crawls and says, okay, this one's about meditation. Is it relevant enough? Like, does it include what I expect it to need in order to be relevant for my audience? And so it's looking for things like benefits of meditation, why meditate, meditation tips, meditation gurus, meditation books, and it's looking for these things on your pages and on your site to make sure that you're relevant. So you definitely want to include the full keyword in a relevant location. Previously people would just like slap a bunch of keywords in there and move on, but you have to really, if I include like why meditate, I should answer it and say you should meditate because of this. These are the reasons to meditate. So Google can tell, okay, this is relevant, it's complete, it's got the right keywords in the topic areas. So that's really the idea of picking that focus keyword and then supporting it with all these other relevant keywords. Awesome.
Cool.
Move kick. Let's move. There we go. So for today, we're going to move beyond the brief. I know that a lot of you are in that briefing stage, and I think that until you get something that is really specific and relevant to your audience, I think it's good to stay in that brief. I think revisiting those keywords and making sure that you have something that's highly specific and easy enough to rank for is going to be important. So once you're done with that brief and you get to a point where you've got a couple of headings and some text, some paragraphs, and you've got what you would call a first draft, this is what we'll be focusing on, bringing that first draft into a publish-ready phase. So it's about optimizing your piece for search engines, but also making it great for your users. This is the final polish that brings together a lot of different assets and elements of production, and it makes your piece stand out by making it engaging, more discoverable in search, and more valuable to users. So that's what we'll be focusing on today. It's thinking a step ahead for those of you who are still in the briefing phase, but just keep in mind that that's where we're at, and I think this will still be useful to you no matter where you're at. A little bit on why. We're dialing in on this because a lot of creative hustler folk like us, we get really into something. We're just like, people want to know this. I want to do a blog, and we just sort of do it quick. We put it online, and we hope that it just does something, and it doesn't. And we can partially blame the legacy of the internet. Because I think previously there's tons of blogging advice floating around, and I know you've all heard it. It's like, make content, just like make content because it'll help your business, and do it quickly, do it frequently, and just like target people. And it's just this do it now, do it faster kind of approach. And I think even for creative teams that now do this professionally full time, it's handling the pressure to make a lot of stuff as efficiently and as frequently as possible is a top challenge. And pushing against that is, it's a hard thing to push back against, because it's a common misconception that, frequency and volume are going to make or break your business strategy. I think that you can't get by with sheer volume or frequency anymore. We really need to take the time to make each piece of content worthwhile, even if it takes longer. And you'll find this now among bloggers and marketers who have been in the online world for a long time, and they're telling you basically make less, but make it better, which is definitely different advice than what they were giving before. You really can't get by with that sheer volume or frequency, which is why we're taking so much time to like really nitpick over things. Right now, there's like one blog in the world for every 7 people. So there's just more and more blogs. It's getting more competitive. So we have to find ways to really stand out. We need to give our content a competitive edge, because we want Google to love you and we want people to love you too. So that's why we're here today, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to talk about what makes content engaging and discoverable and valuable. So those are the basics behind some on-page SEO and UX. Then we'll walk through this big proofing checklist, which you'll have as a handout, which is going to help you cover up all the stuff that we learned today. I don't know if we'll have time to get to each, definition on the checklist. There will be some technical definitions that you may have to look into on your own. But luckily, a lot of the stuff is pretty, like, you can Google it, like, what is a blah, 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 and it'll tell you. So hopefully with the proofing checklist to guide you, and then your supreme knowledge of using Google to answer all of your life's questions, you'll be on your way. We'll also go over a few useful tools at the end that can help you out with proofing. So let's start with on-page SEO and UX. Some quick definitions. SEO is search engine optimization. It's a whole field of work, but at its core, it's about making stuff rank on organic search results. And for now, we're focused on on-page SEO. So that's all about the content and information in your page. It's the stuff you can control in your blog post or page. And then UX, or user experience, a whole other field of work, but there's quite a lot of overlap between what you focus on with SEO and UX. In the field of UX, you'll find things like UX writing, UX copywriting, or just content strategy. So what we're covering in this course falls underneath all of those categories. It's kind of this big mismatchy overlapping situation. But at its core, UX is all about just making your content user-friendly and valuable to your audience. So we're not going to draw hard lines between UX and SEO in this course. I believe that in on-page work, like in the content that we're making, the lines really don't exist. And the reason for that is that we're combining SEO and UX because search engines are getting really, really good. They don't want to just rank stuff that technically checks off the SEO boxes. They're getting good enough to understand user intent. So the search engines want to rank content that they think is best for the user and matches their intent. So that means good user experience makes for good SEO. And another way of saying that is increasingly on-page SEO is about creating a good user experience at its core. So anything you do for SEO, if it starts taking you off the path of creating a good user experience, I'd just jump away from that and get back on the path. Like, it's always the primary focus is creating that good user experience in some way, shape, or form. So is this making sense? It's quite a lot to bite off and chew, and it takes, practice, but we've already been sort of working with these concepts since the beginning about thinking about our users and stuff like that. Okay, cool, awesome. Cool. Let's move forward. Let's proof. This is part 2. We're going to spend little bit of time here walking through a proofing situation. I think what we'll do is we'll walk through this proofing checklist in one of our articles that's already live, that we can really get a feel for how we check the content. And the reason for that being is that I think that the drafts and briefs you're working with are still in that stage of like you need a little bit more refinement with the keywords, which is great. So we're going to work on our own post here and go through this proofing checklist. So we've divided it into sections that check for important sections of SEO and user experience in terms of writing, thinking, visuals, meta information, and then there's this kind of final editorial checkpoint that looks at the piece as a whole. So a real life proofing setup for you folks. On our team, we manage every piece of content on a shared board. So in orange is all the steps that include some sort of proofing, that's assembling or prepping or tweaking or like embellishing. So you can see that it's not neatly contained into one step. There's a person overall accountable for content, but the actual handling of proofing it's managed by like 8 different people. So for example, in the proofing checklist, we talk about having a good graphic that illustrates something in the article. For you to add a graphic right now in this bootcamp, think of it, create it, add it, caption it, and just use a simple design tool like Canva to make that happen. But in our case, where we're managing it across a team, that process might touch 4 different people. Like the writer might think of the graphic, and the editor might brief the graphic, and the graphic designer makes it, and then the production designer reviews it for aesthetics and visual alignment with our brand. So it's actually not as neat as this checklist in real life, but I think the proofing is really valuable if you're on like a tight-knit team where you can just go through the checklist that you'll have and check off all the points. You might be wondering how long this takes, this whole process and the proofing. Here's our breakdown. I think we touched on this in the beginning. The content's a lot of work, and it always takes longer than you think. The time breakdown for us is about 13 hours, but we'll have a blog post that takes anywhere between 10 and 20 hours of total team time. That's not counting promotion like social media or newsletters or anything like that. So looking specifically at proofing, that's really the editing, staging, and graphics. They're in orange. And proofing is about a 3.5-hour undertaking for us. It can be much more if you want to get fancier with the graphics. So just keep in mind that it's just kind of illustrating for you that it's a process and that it's an important part of making content. Our thoughts on this is that making content is an investment either way, so we really want to make it count. So we use the proofing checklist to make sure that our content is all of those good things, shareable, unique, all that good stuff that gets us results and hits the goals that we've set out. Yes, no? We've got a couple questions floating around. Yeah, we're talking about different search engines. It's like, do we care about ranking on Google and Bing, and what's the one in China? I can't remember. The big one. They do own some of the,
I do.
Google owns it's like 70-something% of search, and largely the other search engines are in countries where, if you run like a local school in Canada, you don't really need to worry about ranking on the search engine in China. So generally, I think just focus on Google.
I would always use Bing, use Google Webmaster Tools or whatever it's called now. And same thing with Bing. I'd always set myself up in Yandex, Baidu, register the site, set up the business there so that it's registered. But I wouldn't worry too much about trying to optimize for anything other than Google.
Mm-hmm. Cool stuff. Well, with that, we're going to walk through a live proofing session here. So what I'll do, I need to minimize this. I've got a post here that we've already got live on the product manager. this big enough? Alrighty, so I'm just gonna minimize this. There we go. The proofing checklist should be up in the handouts. If you go up to the corner, you folks can follow along if you'd like to download the PDF of proofing items. That's going to be the handout for today. It looks like this. Pull it up here. I'm going to bring it down onto my screen. So I'm just going to walk through it. Okay, first I'm going to look at writing. I'm going to look at things that are in the text specifically because these are, I think, the simplest things to start with. So I want to make sure that my post includes the focus keyword in the first sentence. So what is my focus keyword? I can't remember. So I'm going to go down to this really useful plugin called Yoast. Yoast manages a lot of SEO aspects of your post. And I can see here I've entered my focus key phrase. It's product manager salary. Okay. Product manager salary. So this was written so that product managers, probably, who are searching for a product manager salary, find something useful. So I've got my keyword. Nope. My first sentence does not include my keyword. So this is a good opportunity for me to be like, okay, here's my sentence. Looking to get into product management or advance your career in the field? Well, probably not. They're probably looking for a product manager salary. So I'm going to change my first. I'm going to go wondering what's a good word? Something salary. What's a good salary?
A good product manager salary in 2020.
Thanks, Ben. Wondering what's a good product manager salary in 2020. I'm going to get rid of this sentence.
Yeah, what was that link into product management? What is that link to?
The link is
okay, how to get into product management.
Well, I think
so
that's good. I still want to. I want to have this link.
Yeah.
In my post, but I just don't want it there. I'm deleting this. I'll save it for later. So I've included my focus keyword in the first sentence. Then I have to include my focus keyword in at least one heading. Product manager salary. I'm looking at my headings. These are here. This big thing. This is an H2 that describes the hierarchy level of a heading. H1 is my title. There's only one H1. And then I've got a bunch of H2s. I've probably got some H3s in here. But right now I'm looking for product manager salary. Here we go. Okay, cool. Yep, got it. Do I include the focus keyword several times in text? I don't know. Command F.
Great. Let me know if I can help with anything else.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like I've included it 26 times. Yep. Do I include all supporting keywords at least once? Let's say yes, because I checked for this already when I edited this piece of content on the brief. Active sentence construction instead of passive phrases. So this means I basically want to make sure that I have active sentences instead of things that say like, what's an example of passive sentence? Like, the book was bought by me on Monday. I want to say, I bought a book on Monday. It's not because I'm a stickler for grammar. It's because Google uses an algorithm to determine how readable your post is. And it likes active phrases because they're just less convoluted. They're more readable and people read them more easily. So you want to kind of scan for that. I also want to make sure, next item, that I'm splitting as many sections as possible into bullet numbers for smaller sections. You know how bad it is when you try to read something and it's all one big chunk of text. So I'm just going to look here and see. I actually think experience could be split into two sections because that looks like two different ideas. So I'm just trying to figure out if I can reorganize things. This one's pretty good because it's got like lots of bullet points. points. I've seen some weird formatting stuff with these sections. But other than that, maybe here, I think this is two separate ideas. So it's not just about like making spaces, but it's also, you know, being conscious that if you start listing a couple of things, like maybe it's a good idea to break them out into bullet points because people can read that more easily. Next item, FAQ are followed by direct, succinct answers. So if I have any frequently asked questions, I try to make sure that I put them as H2s, as Ben was saying. I try to make them headings. I don't know if there are any in this post. Doesn't look like it. Oh, here we go. Here's one. What is a product manager? Product managers are responsible for the conception, creation, and launch of new products. Okay, that sounds good. That's a direct, succinct answer. My headings are structured hierarchically. Yes, I'm going to say that they are, but it's really a matter of looking at your H2s, and if I have related product management, you know, titles, job titles, that under here, let's say I want to make this a heading, I would make this an H3. And actually, that's probably a smarter choice for me because it's more structured than just having it in a paragraph. So what I might do is decide when I'm writing, you can do this on your draft, you can use the headings in your, you know, document editor in Google Docs. Maybe I'll choose to do that. Related product management titles, and then I'll make each heading an H3. That might be nicer.
Yeah. And I think what I would say here is related product management titles doesn't say job titles or doesn't say like we're trying to relate this to salary and maybe like, so maybe one way of doing this is like related product management job titles and salary expectations or something like that. We want to try and tie it back if we can to the keyword. And here when we're saying, okay, director of product management, we need to, again, think about the search intent, what we're trying to hit on while someone's searching for this. So if it is the salary guides, maybe Google might think, hey, well, they've listed out in this post different job titles and salary expectations. So then that makes sense, right? It's useful. So think about not just putting in the keyword, but thinking about how that relates back to your primary keyword that you're trying to rank for, and adjust it to really build this big picture of like, think about like how can you create the ultimate guide for that keyword, and kind of flesh out the content and use the headings not just to say, you know, random words, but to tie them back to that original keyword.
Yeah. Is this making sense so far? Just make sure if you have questions, pop them in the chat. A few more things with writing. I just want to make sure important points are highlighted. Important points are highlighted. So if I have like a really good quote or something, I want to make sure it's nice and big and that I'm saying it loud and proud. So I actually have a point here that I want to make. The reason I'm running this post is because we have this big salary survey. We really like people who visit this post to fill out the survey so that we get more salary information and we can make a better guide. And I'm finding that this tiny link asking them to participate is not really working for me. So I want to make sure that this is called out. I want to make sure that people know I'm running this survey. So I would say like participate or something in the 2020 salary survey. And I'm going to make that an H2. And I'm also going to format this thing as a block quote, which is just like a bigger thing, make it large, so that they can see that link and it's clear that it's like something important to participate in. And then, okay, that's it. Yeah, we're good. Okay, let's move on to linking. Links are an important part of your article. Google and all other search engines use links to crawl through the web. So links connect your piece to other pieces. It's important. In your piece, you'll want to make sure you have jump links. That's a link that helps you navigate down the page. I can see here, looking at the top, I have no table of contents. So I should add a table of contents. I should say, in this post, you'll be able to find these things. And then I'll say, like, what is a product manager? And then what's my next section? Related product management job titles. There's a bit of a lag, so it's kind of hard. Okay. So then on each of these sections, I would add a link, an anchor link. I think I've already got it set up on this one. Yeah, what is a product manager? So I just need to set this up. What is a product manager? I believe I need a hashtag there. Yeah, an internal link. There we go. So now when somebody clicks on that, it navigates them down to that section. So I should do that for all my sections. But aside from internal links in your post, you'll also want internal links to another page on your site, just drawing connections to other content you've made. So whether that's your homepage if you're just starting out, or ideally another blog post. And I know I've got some in here, so I'm not going to bother looking. I also want to make sure I'm linking to external sources, just so this post looks legitimate and like well researched. So here's an example. This link is linking to pragmaticmarketing.com. It's linking to a report, so I'm happy with that. Also, I'm checking them to make sure that they're not misleading and that they're linked on an appropriate size of text. Like, this makes sense. It's linking this report, and then it links out to it. So I think that's very accurately describes what people will get when they click on that link. So I'm going to keep it there. What about this one? Product managers. If I have a link over the words product managers, I'm expecting a definition. Like, if I click on product managers, I think I should have something about like what it is or what they do. Yeah, okay, product manager job description, I'm happy with that. So I'm just double checking that. So that's my links situation. Now I get to visuals. Now there's visuals here, obviously, because we've already published this post. Here's an example. We've made this nice little graph that summarizes some of the salary information that we've got for different countries. Happy with that. And I just want to make sure that it's showing this visual example wherever possible, that it's a featured, that's a look that fits my brand, that it's not fuzzy. And I want to make sure that it has alt text. That is text that Google reads, usually for people who are visually impaired. And so the text should describe exactly what's going on in the image. My alt text right now is product manager salary. I don't think that's quite right. I think that it should say average product manager salary, and actually maybe chart showing average product manager salary by country. This should be something that if Google reads it to somebody who's using a screen reader, that this makes sense. I love to include my focus keyword in the alt text where it's relevant. I'm noticing though that this
name of the image as well, right?
What's that? Also
in the name of the image. So one thing that's really easy to forget is we can just upload an image with a random name like, DSC 03976, but we want the image name itself to also be called Product Manager Salary by Country Chart.
Yeah.
So Google, just from the image name as well, knows that this is relevant.
Yeah. And it doesn't have a caption. So I'm going to add a caption that's relevant. Average product manager salary varies by country. I sum up the main point of my image and relate it back to my main concept of project manager salaries. Because as you know, we tend to read captions and not anything else. So the caption really does matter because people read captions more often than they read anything else. So there you go. That's graphics. We're not going to go through a walkthrough of how to make a graphic, but I suggest using Canva or taking a screenshot or using a photo. We're going to check our meta information. This is stuff that people don't see, but that matters for search engines. Meta information, I'm editing in the Yoast plugin. We have a meta description written. This is my meta description. It should be a short little blurb, about 155 characters. It should include the focus keyword and sell the value of the article. Got that here. Read our career guide with information on product manager salary, responsibilities, and skills. Make an informed decision about the next step in your career. It's pretty good. I've also got my slug written, and it includes the focus keyword. My slug is the 2020 Product Manager Salary Guide. Actually might want to remove the word the, because it's not that important to have the word the in there. But other than that, I'm happy with the slug, and I'm not going to change it right now since it's already live. Just so you know, the slug is the part of the URL that goes after the domain name, like that up there. Or it's actually after the domain and the subdomain, so it would be this little ending part right there. I'm also going to look, see meta description, slug, alt text. We already looked at alt text. Author information. This is about setting up an author profile in the site and making sure that I have assigned my author on this piece. I can see the author here is Nuala Turner, and I know that I've already created an author profile for her. If you're doing this for the first time, you've got to consider adding your first and last name, a short bio about yourself, and hooking it up with Gravatar if you're, publishing on WordPress. On this post, we also have categories set up in our blog. So we don't have tags, and we're not using tags, but we are using categories, which is a way to, people can search for, and we can archive our posts. So I just want to make sure that I've checked off the correct category over here. Part of, making your post and assembling that information might be deciding on your categories as you work. So that's my meta information. Finally, we're here. We're at the editorial checkpoint, and I'm just going to check for overall content quality things. Number one, does my title make a promise and the article deliver it? I would say yeah. Does the article fulfill its purpose that it's supposed to serve for the audience? Yes. Does the tone and voice fit with my brand? Does it have a clear flow and a consistent message? This is important because people will scan 100%, so you have to be set up with a clear logical flow. Something that I would do to make sure I'm covering this off is finish up this table of contents, because that's part of having a logical structure that helps people navigate quickly. Do I think my audience would find this valuable and more valuable than other top results for this keyword? I'm going to say yes, because I worked on this piece. But that might not be true. If I go into product manager salary in Google, I want to just peek at my competition. Actually, I'm going to say yes. I think I do deliver more value than these results, because these results are from glassdoor.ca and payscale.com, a lot from indeed.com. So these are not sites that specialize in product management knowledge. These are just like aggregates that are summing up numbers based on job postings. And I do think that my guide is more valuable because it is more career-driven and more specialized. I also check to make sure that the word fluff is gone. So sentences that are fluffy are out. I've compacted them. They're juicy. They're concise. They make someone want to keep reading. I've checked to make sure that there's a CTA that aligns with my goal. Here it is, front and center, up at top. Please participate in my salary survey. I check and make sure it's fully proofread. There's no obvious errors. And I finally just say, is the rest of the proofing checklist complete? That's my final check. So that is really the process for making sure that an article is proofread and ready to hit the pavement in terms of publishing. Minimize this, bring this back up. Let's go full screen on this. Just want to show you just really quick a couple of useful tools. There we go. All right, we already went over Canva. You can use that to design graphics. For screenshots, knowing the short code is really helpful. On a Mac, you press Command-Shift-4, and on a PC, you press Windows-Shift-4. Those are really helpful. Unsplash and Pixabay are sites where you can get license-free photos, but in my opinion, avoid stock photos wherever possible. Stock photos are like those kind of cheesy, really high-quality ones that are clearly not your photos, and I think people are just a little tired of them. We like to see real stuff. There's also a cool writing assistant called SEMrush SEO Writing Assistant. This is an add-on. It sits in your Google Doc, and it gives keyword-based recommendations as you write. It kind of covers a lot of those SEO checkpoints inside of your draft. So you have to sign up for SEMrush to get it, but it's useful. Trello is great for managing files if you're trying to assemble a bunch of like screenshots and stuff and keep it all in one place. Trello is great for that. And then Yoast, finally, is that SEO plugin we were looking at in WordPress that helps you manage all that metadata surrounding your post for SEO. So the homework for today is get yourself to a place where you can do this proofing checklist on your article. So for some of you, that's probably going back to the brief and building that out a bit. For others that already have a draft, maybe it's just jumping straight in with this checklist and running through to see where you're at and then going back to revise. You want to get to the point where you've covered off the writing, the linking, the visuals, the meta information, and then that final editorial checkpoint. I think it's a lot of work. Honestly, I think it's easier to edit someone else's stuff. So if you want to trade drafts with someone in class, they can then go over the proofing checklist and apply it to your work. I find it way easier. Like Ben edits my stuff all the time, and it's great. He's just as harsh with me as he is with all of you, so you know that. So I suggest pairing up with somebody who you can switch off with. You could do that in Mighty Networks. Just ping somebody and ask if they want to switch drafts with you. I've got a couple of questions here. Is there a point where formatting is outweighed by how long the post is? How many scrolls? I don't know if I understand the question. Is there a point where formatting is outweighed?
I think, yeah, I don't know what the question is, but I think the response I give is, I think formatting, and when we're talking about formatting, I think it's the structure of the article. So I think the important thing is that a user, when they come to the page, can easily and quickly find the information they're looking for. So whether or not that's a short post or a long post, using headlines like H2s, H3s, structuring things properly is really important, and making it as easy as possible for someone to scan through the post. Just think, if they're looking at it for 30 seconds, what will they pick out? What will they be able to, what will they understand the article to be about? And will they be able to find the information they're looking for quickly and easily? So think about your headings as signposts to the different pieces of content, and using short sentences, short paragraphs, breaking things up as much as possible to make that user experience as good as you can to consume information quickly and get out of there.
Mm-hmm. We got a question from Phil. How can you keep lookout for links to external articles changing? I think you mean that's like when you're linking out to somebody and then you realize that their page is gone? Yeah. We use a tool, Ahrefs, helps you look at those links. They're called broken links. And they're, it's when you go to something and it has like a 404, like it can't be found, or maybe it's a redirect, that's like a 302, 303. But really using a tool on a large scale is useful. But at the point when you're creating the article, you'll just want to manually check those. You'll just want to make sure that when you open up that link, that it goes somewhere. over time, you need to use a tool that checks them for you. Otherwise, it's just too much work to manually check everything. Yeah. Cool. Right now, I'm wondering, because I think the briefing was hard, and I think the writing is hard as well. I'm wondering how reasonable it is to expect a draft on Wednesday. Like, do we all think that it's reasonable to be like, okay, I'm gonna have something, my brief's gonna be done. I'm gonna write my piece, and I'm gonna proofread it by Wednesday. Because if that's not realistic, we can always kind of push things back a bit, and then on Wednesday we could focus more on some, reviewing this proofing checklist and like getting back into the work before we talk about promoting it. I'm wondering if that might be better. Does anybody have any feedback on that? So I want to make this useful. Like I want to push you, but I want to make it sure that we don't move at a speed where at the end you don't have anything that you're happy with. Like I want to make sure that whatever we make is something that you're happy with and it's concrete and it's finished. A boot camp is supposed to be a lot, says Alyssa. Yeah, we are pushing you. This is hard. It's really hard. But I do agree that briefing, editing, and getting a draft is quite a push. I'm thinking. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I think the important thing is that everybody gets this first draft of their post done. I think what we're obviously based on the assignments that we saw when we reviewed those briefs, it looks like the briefs need a lot of work. So the first stage, I think, is for everyone to review their briefs again. Maybe do that today, write the post tomorrow, and spend some quality time doing that with the knowledge that, yeah, this is a boot camp. You need to do some work to make this deliver any value for yourself. So I think, saying to people, okay, well, let's finish the post by Wednesday session, by Wednesday morning, and then maybe on Wednesday and Thursday they can look at editing those and reviewing maybe other people's posts. But we really need to get to that point as quickly as possible where we have that first post complete and not worrying too much about going through this checklist that we've gone through today. Like this is the kind of finessing stage. So I think what we could do is, make it so that everybody has written their posts by Wednesday, and then they can review each other's posts on Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah. And I think
for many of you, you're going to have to go back and do that keyword research again. And I hope our session today was helpful in helping you refine that keyword. But if you're writing about the wrong thing, it's kind of a waste of time. So make sure that you're really confident in your keyword, and feel free to post your keyword research in the chat and ask us a question, and we're happy to kind of take a look quickly at your keyword. But make sure that initial brief is done right. Don't skimp on that, and spend the time then fleshing out the article, because the article is so much easier to write when you have a good brief. And like Sarah talked about this, the brief, like the process of creating the brief, helps you form, it creates the structure for the entire article. So we're not doing it just to be a pain in the ass. We're doing it because it provides you the content that you need for your post. Spend a bit of time today working on that brief, write your articles tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, we can spend the time in terms of in Mighty Networks, looking at other people's posts and reviewing them after hopefully you've had a chance yourself to do a bit of self-editing.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Cool stuff. And then we'll keep moving forward. We'll see. I think what we'll do is maybe condense a bit of the, stuff that we're going to cover for the rest of the cycle, but we'll make sure to just touch on those points, just to draw that big picture of where content is going and how to manage it through that whole flow.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. I think that's it. That brought us to the very end. Yes.
Cool beans.
Yes. Awesome. Be on your way. Fly free. Thanks for showing up. Really thank you. This is hard work. So I'm appreciating that you're all here and that you're all still with us. It's a good opportunity. I hope to see you at 4 p.m. except for Phil. I hope Phil is sleeping. But everyone else, I hope to see you at 4 p.m.
Cool. Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.